Hello. Okay, first things first, saw my dudes. Welcome to this little Pro Tools breakdown. Just gonna go through how I recorded this track and gotta shout out Andrew Sheps because I've never met Andrew Sheps, but I sure have watched all his videos on Pyramix and stolen all of his secrets. So, Andrew, if you're watching, thank you. Call me. Let's just see what's going on with these drums. First of all, if you want to get a good drum sound, you got to record Dan Drohan. It's really the only way. So call up 1-800 Dan Drohan and you will get this. All right. So kick in, kick out. Here's the kick in. These drums were recorded on my API 1608. No compression in whatsoever, but tons of EQ. So I'm boosting probably 10K, 7K for the clicky high end, and just, probably a little something between 60 and 100 to get the and here's it is just raw. So pretty decent, just raw inner kick drum. Add a little Shep 73, a little lo-fi, and then it looks like most of the compression is going to be parallel. And the first thing is the kick snare crush, which is, let's see, this guy down here, which is just a Fairchild. And it's just compressing the kick and the snare at the same time, which again is another direct rip from Andrew Sheps. Respect to the Sheps. Respect the Sheps. Really, that's the main lesson here. Yeah, it just kind of glues the kick and snare together if it's like an acoustic drum kit in a way that I found is hard to get if you're compressing them individually. The snare is individually compressed, but that's for a different thing. So, yeah, parallel compression is the jam. I think it's this amazing thing that you can do in the analog world, of course. In the digital world, it just goes so much farther because you can pretty much do it endlessly to taste. Not that, not that you should do it endlessly, or maybe you should. But here's the kick out too. So also a bunch of high-end, probably scooping out some of the low. Let's see what we're actually doing here. Yeah, again, just adding a little 7.2, a little bit, and a little 60, a little bit. This is on the kick in, sorry. But because I have the 1608 with the EQ going in, I kind of have all the EQ that I need to pull this off really without any plugins, which is a very lucky situation to be in. But if you don't have EQ going in, I mean, this plugin is like $25. It's not bad. And as you can see, just a tiny little bit can go a long way in doing everything you need. And then here's them together. For this track, I'm not gating the kick because I don't want this to sound crazy modern. I just want it to sound like a real drum recording when they didn't necessarily have access to all these lovely tools that we have now. Moving on to the snare top. Let's see. So that's with everything on. Pretty blown out, pretty distorted. It's kind of what I was looking for. Shout out to Jordan Rose for letting me use your snare. By the way, it's an SM7 on top of the snare. I never use a 57 because I just want to be a tiny bit different. Maybe I'm shooting myself in the foot. Let's see where the snare is at without anything. Not much. So that snare, I mean, it sounds okay. It sounds kind of wimpy. It's honestly a little bit dead and flat, but we have plugins and we have ways to really help that. So Shep 73 again, just a little 7.2, nothing else. A little R bass to get more out of it. So just one by one, just a little R bass. A lot. Now this guy is a little bit of a secret weapon. If you want to get that kind of drive, natural sounding drive that isn't like clippy and it's tapey, go for this dude, UAD. So for this, it's the Oxide UAD, and again, it's just driving the snare a bit, and then of course the Pultec, which is really going to add quite a bit of fatness and richness. Now, another thing I had on this was the Wilkinson Deep Bleeder, which is such a secret weapon with drum recording to get hi-hat out. But unfortunately, it doesn't work with this latest version of Mac OS, which I didn't realize before I upgraded, so it's not working. But this drum recording originally, it came out with very little hi-hat bleed, in my opinion. But without it, it sounds like this. You know? Girls and the Pasadena rats. Let's build a diner. Still not bad, but you know, you can hear it. There's a lot of hi-hat bleed. That's before we add any parallel compression, which again is the kick snare, drum parallel, which is kind of like a crush, like really, really over compressed, and then just a tiny bit of snare verb. Valhalla room. The live room in there is really big, but it's, you know, there's something about these Valhalla plugins that just really do it. Especially the small wood room setting for like just a basic ambience that sounds natural. Really does a thing. Recommend Valhalla. Really affordable and really powerful and just a good company. Alright, moving on. Snare bottom. It's a snare bottom. It's kind of boring, but it's necessary. Without it, alright, let's see what's going on with these toms. First off, there's a printed tom delay, which is the toms sent through a real RE201, which is right over there, Space Echo. And here's this tom fill, just the drums, all the drums isolated. So you can hear there's like this slap that comes in. Well, that is this printed tom fill where I just sent the toms through a real slap echo. And then I might have even shifted that piece of audio that was printed, and it comes like this. So it's a real... Taking out a little high end, it was to kind of something up there. And then I even added more slap to it, so it was super Sun Records-y or whatever. And then let's see, there's crotch mic. It's kind of whatever. Not much in there. 421, just a mono overhead. Let's see, what's up with this? Am I really smashing this? Yeah. It's cool without it, but I just want that, like, super vibey, everything glued together thing for this. Hat, overhead. So the stereo overheads I have down 30 dB because this is mostly supposed to be a mono kind of kit vibe. So this probably could be muted and you wouldn't really be able to tell. Same with the room bar and the room floor. So the goal was I mean, it's a lot of mics, but I wanted options, and I did kind of want this like full room 3D thing, even though it's supposed to sound old. And back in the day, they really didn't use that many mics. But yeah, here's the whole drum kit once again. Let's see what else we got. Maybe something a little more interesting. And then these are all the auxes. So it's kick, snare, crush. Use that on your kick and snare if it's an acoustic kit. Maybe if it's in like a program thing too. But it really glues it together in a way that like I just feel it makes it feel like more of a real performance in a way. 2500, just a parallel thing. I don't know if I have. You know what? I would be hitting the stereo overheads with this. But if I wanted a bunch of like a big stereo overhead kind of thing. But I don't, so I'm not even using this. In the tom bus, first of all, route your toms through its own aux so you can treat them differently than how you would treat the rest of the kit. And let's see what we got here. A lot of R bass to get the out of it. Little Sheps. 7.2, man. On the 1073, the 7.2. Rupert, he knew what he was doing. There's a reason he was like, 7.2. I'm going to give it to him. 7.2, let's go. And there it is. And it's pretty much, you could just leave a 1073 on 7.2, and it's probably useful on most things. Same with 60. But yeah, just a little more low end, a little more bite. That's that bite. And compressing the snot. Actually, not compressing the snot out of it. Let's see. Okay, it's compressing the snot out of it. Let's see. And then I'm using the same snare verb. It's just a room verb. And then all of that is going to the drum bus. And then there's the drum crush. Sorry, before that, there's the drum crush, which is like super, super compressed and distorted. And if you just ride that in parallel with any element in the drums, it's just going to give you like a side-by-side thing of fatter, more compressed, and a little bit of drive. I mean, like, here's the whole kit with and without it. Subtle, but it adds up. And also, if you really want to distort it, you could always automate this at a certain point to add a bunch in. Drum bus. This is a great, great setting for drum buses. Just drum bus, mud, control, and magic on the FabFilter Pro Q3. Really recommend using it, and then maybe just dialing things in from there. But it's an adaptive. It's an adaptive EQ that's really just touching everything that's going to happen a little bit. I feel like this is sort of what people refer to as glue, but it's EQ, but it's also adaptive, so it's compressing as well. Honestly, you could just do everything with just this EQ and nothing else, and you'd be totally fine. And then, all right, the master, the drum master, this is great. This is very powerful. When you're using it, if you want, make sure to check the hum hiss, because sometimes you just throw this on and like, listen to this. There's just a all of a sudden. Same with this. So yeah, I mean, use that if you want, but like usually there's no use for it in my opinion. Another Fairchild. Let's see. Pretty smacking, and then just tape on the whole thing because I wanted this kit to be smacked. Little tambourine, boring but needed. Little bass. Let's see, we got me playing the bass. Honestly, bass player than me. I can play the bass, but like get a bass player. This is me talking to myself. Let's see what else we got here. I mean, these two together, it's classic. You kind of can't go wrong unless you don't know what you're doing. Little bit. You don't need much going on here to get all the leveling you need. Just a little 100, a little 5. Does the trick.
Use my army pay to start it all. Ralph and Harry, I'll fight.
The way I track this acoustic is 2 1073s, 2 414s, and just one acoustic for this entire record. It's this old 1920s Martin. 2-17 is the model, and it's so hard to play, but it is the best sounding acoustic I own and really have ever played. But I'm currently in a phase where I don't want to double anything. I want it to just be one real performance all the way through and not like any kind of doubling. Basically, just for this record, I'm not against doubling whatsoever, but I feel like you can maybe get more sort of real emotion, potentially, if it's just one single performance with flaws and everything. So all these guys are going through the acoustic aux. Let's see, we just have a little bit of EQ happening here. This is some of these points are probably totally unnecessary, right? It's like, what's really happening here? Probably just light compression and more heavy. Why the two compressors? One, well, they're both kind of hitting it very lightly. I mean, like 1 to 2. But this is just to catch any peaks and not color it too much. Even though this plugin, just the stock Pro Tools compressor, which I really think you could make an entire record with just this, just the stock Pro Tools stuff, is just to catch anything, any peaks, without really colorizing the instrument. This is to color it. And then let's see what else is next. Piano. This was 2 414s and then a U47 in the middle, and I'm going in between super mono and super wide. And let's see. It's just my little Yamaha upright over here, which has served me well for years and years and years now. But anyways, going through this piano aux, everything, yeah, okay, this is happening because all this piano is MIDI'd out. It's a player piano, and I didn't play any of it. And for some reason, the player piano, whenever you send MIDI to it, this giant spike at 20,000 hertz pops up, and you just got to get rid of it. Not that I can hear that, or most people can't hear that, but get rid of it anyways. Little bit taken out in the low end here and there. More EQ going to happen later. Just lightly adding high end here too. Here's it without it. Goes a long way. Normally I would kind of do this, but anyways. More Fairchild. Lightly. I really think that's again, this is just through the API hitting a 2500 compressor on the way in, and just getting a solid sound from the start can change your life. But it's not always an option if you don't have like just basically decent gear, but honestly, you can make anything sound good. Just record it on your phone. Stand by that forever. A little devil lock just to add a little dirt. A little more oxide just to add even more dirt. And then, even though this plugin, in my opinion, is overused, I went for it. The vinyl setting and then like take down all the parameters considerably. So the just a tiny bit of wobble to get like the kind of tapey kind of vibe, and then this is just your mix knob, and I split it in less. Where is that? 40%. So yeah, little bit adds up a long way, and then the vocals. Let's see. Again, just one vocal for the most part, and then there is a double in the chorus. And that's it, no harmonies. Let's see.
For while writing letters to my girl, when I'm with you, feels like we're taking on the world.
You know, pretty thick. I think it was actually this mic that I just did the whole record in, whole record on, and then 1073 with a Clark Technic 1176, which was $100 compressor. So, you know, you don't need to spend much. This is a $200 mic. You don't need to spend much to get a decent sound. Let's see what we have. Similar, just taking out low end, adding a tiny bit of high end here, and then this is just kind of weird. You know, let's see what's going on here so you can hear it.
Letters to my girl with you.
Just taking out the nose, you know. What else we got? De-esser, 2 de-essers. This is almost like the same thing with the compression, just not coloring it too much with the stock. And then this is almost coloring it, and it's just a lot more powerful. The Fab Filter. Can't recommend it enough. Tape for a little bit, just kind of the character of it. Again, watch the hum and hiss and wow and flutter on this one. And then just a compressor. Room verb, plate verb, slap verb, and vintage verb. Why? Room verb to get like the natural room sound. Plate, you want to get the sound of a plate. What can I say? But it's also kind of a normal sounding reverb. It's not colored. It's just space and place. Little slap. Let's see. I might even have this automated. Yeah, like here and there. And then the vintage verb is Valhalla vintage verb, and it's very colored. Probably the EQ on it is shaped like this, so it's just mid and the mids, really. And it's kind of this dark thing that I'm always trying to chase this like Nigel Godrich verb thing. I don't know how he does it. Nigel, call me. All right. The whole vocal is sent through the RE201.
Let's build a diner, baby. Call it the Sugar Bowl.
So it's literally just send the entire vocal through to hit tape, add actual spring and a little bit of tape, delay. I like to basically do it on everything I do and just have it as like a printed effect. I think it works. And then there might be one vocal throw.
Feels like we're taking on the world.
And yeah, I could have done that with a plugin in 2 seconds, but it's fun to use real gear. And also, it's just very unpredictable, this particular thing. The RE201, I've used it for years and years and years, and it does things that are just a bit wonky, and you're just not going to get in the digital space. If you can get one now, I got it for like $200 back in the day. Now they're like $2,000, so it's kind of ridiculous. Last thing, the strings. This is a string quartet stacked 4 times, or 3 times, which I'm not really a fan of doing it that way, but you gotta do it. Gotta do what you gotta do to get the sound. Let's see what's going on here. Most important thing about recording strings is having a good string arrangement. I mean, you can have the most phenomenal string quartet string section in the world recorded at Abbey Road, and if the arrangement is bad, my God, it's not going to sound good. And the players are going to know it, and they're going to be like pissed about it. What's going on here? Not much. No compression, that's for sure. And just a little bit of plate and room. There was probably something happening in the chain, and I just took it out. I don't think I hit any EQ going in. Strings, man, it's just got to be natural. Unless you're going for something super vibey, super colored, something like that. But man, just let those acoustic instruments shine. That's my philosophy. It's like an honor to be in the same room with a string quartet. Every time I do it, I'm just like, I don't deserve this. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for being here, guys. All right, that's it. That's pretty. Oh, mix bus. Well, this is my mix bus. Everyone does it a little different. Adaptive EQ. Honestly, I use a preset. General mix purpose balancing. And again, it's like a I find what this does is it just kind of gets rid of the basic annoying sounds that are happening in the mix.
Fight this war while writing letters to my girl.
Controlling the kick a little bit, cymbals is taking down, and then just try it out, see how you like it. It's almost... Alright, what else? We got multi-band. This is also a great tool from FabFilter. DS the mix. I learned that from Rocky Gallo. A little bit more Fairchild can never hurt. And then this guy, let's go. A little widening, a little EQ. This plugin is super helpful. The Brainworks Modulus EQ BX1. Very, very powerful EQ. But again, not even 1 dB, like 1 dB moves here and there, and it adds a lot. And then just the widening, the stereo width on this thing is fantastic. All right. If you've made it this far, you are a hero. Thank you so much. Hope you've enjoyed. Hope you've learned something. Andrew,